Jill Evans, Plaid Cymru MEP. Why is it that you support regulation of the e-cigarette industry as medical products?
Well, first of all, the top priority has to be safety, consumer safety. And what this regulation would mean is that they would have to prove, the companies would have to show that they were safe, that they were effective, that they worked properly, and so that people wouldn't get any harm from actually using them. Now, of course, they are very beneficial. I've had hundreds of constituents contacting me saying they've helped them to give up smoking. So we want to allow people to use them as an aid to give up smoking, but we have to make sure that they're safe, or they shouldn't be on the market.
And let's be clear then, would regulating them as a medical product make any difference to them being on the market within the UK?
In the UK, no. Of course, the companies would have to provide the evidence, so there may be some extra costs there. But it's not as though they would be marketed as other medicines which have to go through long clinical trials. There's none of that. This is a compromise that we agreed on in the committee, so that there would be some regulation to ensure consumer safety, but without companies having to go through those long trials. They've also got 3 years to actually put it into force if this is agreed in the full Parliament next week. So I think it's a very reasonable step, and I'm not against e-cigarettes in any way. I think the evidence is that they have helped people to give up smoking, and even if there is some harm from them, from the nicotine, which of course is very addictive, then it's better than smoking. And so I think that what we've taken is a very sensible approach.
Now, I wanted to ask you about nicotine that you just mentioned there, because it seems like e-cigarettes can have very varying amounts of nicotine in them, and therefore isn't there a need for some kind of level playing field? Is that what's meant to be behind these rules that Europe's discussing?
Well, the situation at the moment is that every country has a different system. I mean, they're either banned or they're regulated or not regulated at all. And so with the single market, obviously, we want that standard so that people who travel from one country to another can be sure that they're buying the same quality product. And yes, of course, the nicotine levels and things like that should be looked at, which presumably that information would be included in the packet.
Now, this is a new industry. It has created some new jobs. Not least, I think there are some firms in Wales that are looking into this. Isn't there a risk that regulation from Europe and the additional cost and burden of that could be a stranglehold, really, on that new industry?
I don't think so. I think what we've done is such a kind of light touch regulation. It's not that much that has to be complied with, and I hope that companies will be able to deal with it. Certainly in Wales, there have been great successes in the manufacturing of these products. I think since 2006, the market has doubled. Since 2006, the market has gone up 500% in terms of sales of these products. And so, yes, we in Wales are benefiting from that as well in terms of jobs.
Now, we heard just last week about a football club in Wales being sponsored by an e-cigarette company. It's Merthyr Town FC, I think. What do you make of that, and do you have some concerns? I'm
not concerned. I think that the football club obviously needs sponsorship. It's a Welsh-based company providing the sponsorship. I wouldn't have chosen a name like that for the stadium myself, but it's not tobacco. We had a ban on tobacco advertising for many years, but this isn't tobacco, and so I can see no objection to the advertising or the sponsorship of the club, and I hope it helps them to have many successes in the coming year.
I mean, just finally, one concern that some people have had has been about the lack of an age limit on who can buy e-cigarettes, and concern from some quarters at least about the health implications of young people taking up these nicotine products. What would you say to that, especially in light of this sponsorship deal, which presumably will attract young people that are interested in football?
Well, we've had long debates on this in the committee, and I've spoken to a lot of people in Wales about it as well. And yes, of course, it sometimes is a means of encouraging people to smoke, but my impression is that the vast majority of people who use e-cigarettes are going to stop smoking, and so I would welcome that. In terms of them being accessible, yes, that is a problem. But we've got this, if it is adopted in Parliament, we've got this regulation to start with now, so there is some kind of control in terms of safety, and we'll go from there.